Hello and welcome to BonkTable. I'm Mass, and with me is my wonderful co-host Cassandra.
Here I am.
Hello. How you doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm doing well. So this is for our wonderful listeners. Recorded on the 28th. I think this is going to come out next year. Yeah. Good thing we clarified that.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like this is going to be our last recording for the actual year, but it's going to come out in the new year, so everyone gets to enjoy that.
Classic BonkTable. Whatever.
Yeah. I had a blast with Apex. How about you?
Yeah, that was fun. It just I was still recovering from being sick, so after about the 3-hour mark, my body was just like, "Well, you can't do this anymore," and I was like, "Okay."
Sleepy time is now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
To go lay in bed and feel like I want to die for an hour.
Oh boy, really took it out of you.
Yeah, that was a rough one. I don't think it was like, any of the. I don't think it was the next pandemic or anything, the avian flu or what have you, but it was a rough flu that I'm still kind of like my throat and whatever is still kind of shitty. Not that it stopped me from any of the normal stuff that I do, but annoying. Anyway,
So
that has nothing to do with Conquest.
no, but that Apex episode did influence this episode because Apex and I at the end tried to find out what was bad in the game and like what was truly bad, and I was like, man, we could probably make a whole episode out of this. So that's why we're here. The race to the bottom.
Oh yeah.
So for our lovely listeners, I don't know how long this is going to go on for, but we are going to go through each faction, try and find the worst thing, and then compare each of the factions' worst thing into each other to find what is objectively the worst thing in the game.
Scientifically.
Scientifically proven by two people.
Two really smart people.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I have the army builder out. And the first one in the army builder is 100k. Now, we got all the characters and we got all the regiments.
So, well, hold on. Now we have to, I think, figure out the ground rules for this. Are we just looking at regiments or are we looking at characters?
I want to say both. Because I think there's some factions that have good regiments, but bad characters, and other factions that have good characters, but bad regiments.
But are we picking one of each, or are we just picking
one?
This guy sucks the worst for the whole faction.
Yeah, this is the guy you bench every time. Yeah.
As the case may be.
It might be 12 dudes, it might be one dude.
It might be 4 out of 12 of them women. But
are you talking?
That's only Bo chosen. I don't think that's very likely for the worst regiment competition.
No, the Bo chosen too good. So I want to say we also have to pick things that are out, because I'm not gonna lie, for 100k there's an obvious answer, but it's not even out yet, so it still has a chance to redeem itself.
No, that's fair. I also think that we have to not consider stuff that isn't out yet.
Okay. I don't
know why I said that such a long-winded way.
I feel like I should ask you first, specifically for 100k. What do you think is the worst thing here? Because I'm gonna be really honest, I'm not exactly sure what. Like, I have an idea, but it's kind of weird that it's the worst thing. No, it's kind of obvious it's the worst thing, but also kind of weird.
Let's see.
I'll go first for like Wadroon and Nords just to make you feel bad.
It's let's see. I mean, sorry, I have to actually look at these now because I did, of course, as is the BonkTable way, zero preparation for this.
I'm not gonna lie, I think that's why people like come for this.
They love the sweet casualness of it all.
Yes, the unregulated fun.
Exactly.
It gives me a chance to just drop stuff on my desk as I fiddle with things.
Hell yeah.
I also get to read the 100k chat. Just be like,
yeah,
I have caused problems in that chat. Oh, I feel bad, but also I'm like, no, it's justified. I got bored on Christmas Eve and recorded a whole thing.
That'll do it.
Hmm.
Let's see.
Do you want me to just say my piece?
Yeah, what is yours? Like, I need to calibrate here because I've got some ideas, but
Okay,
okay,
I think it's Crimson Towers.
okay.
I
That's what I was kind of looking at too. So I want to see where you're at.
okay, so it's either for me the Crimson Towers or the Imperial Ranger Corps.
Hero Ranger Corps, interesting.
Yes. Which one would you like to talk about first?
Let's talk about the Crimson Tower.
Okay, so in Crimson Tower, if you are a longtime listener, know my opinions. Where these motherfuckers got hit over the Nerf bat 3 times and have basically been having an aneurysm ever since version 2. They've gone through a wide variety of different changes from version 1.5 to 2 to the point that they're not great. And the reason why they're not great is because they're very expensive. They are heavy and they have no way to kind of get up the board effectively or come onto the table. Like, they don't have flank and they don't have vanguard, so they're not, and they are a hammer, so they're a force multiplier. And on top of that, they are not as accurate as you'd like them to be. So Clash 3 with their impacts, because all their damage is coming from their impacts, and then you're hoping that you're wedging with their special rule to then do a clash. But if you're in that range, you're within 8 or 10 inches, what is enough range for someone to march charge you to stop you. So you're not getting your impact attacks, you're not getting your wedge, and you're getting bogged down, and you're getting chopped down and killed. You're getting dragged from your horses. So they have a movement speed issue. If you do get the march charge, 8 times out of 10, you're not doing enough damage to really kill a target. And to do enough damage, you have to take them in a big Death Star, what is still susceptible to the problem of just being march charged by some infantry regiment to bog them down so they don't get all their damage off through their impact attacks and their wedge.
Okay.
And they're really expensive and they lost impact attacks. Like, they want to be premium shot cav, except they're not outputting 200 points worth of output, and their counter is pretty easy. And yes, don't get me wrong, you can have like Ashen Dawn come on turn 3, tie up stuff, then have Order of Crimson Tower come on turn 4 and 5, and then input. But like them by yourself as like a hammer regiment, they just have too many counters, and as like baseline MSU, they're not outputting enough to justify their cost. And if you're putting in more stands to get more output, you're now contributing like a quarter of your list just to this one hammer, what is susceptible of being bogged down and killed.
Yeah.
So it makes it a target. Like, every time you try and fix one of their problems, a new problem arises. So for me, that's why they're sadly, like, I love their models, but I would put them as one of the worst things in 100K. Like, yeah. Like, Steel Legion have it bad, but, you know, they've been trying to make Steel Legion good. But Order of Crimson Towers are printed as, like, something really good, but every time you put them on the table, they just don't perform well enough.
Yeah, so Steel Legion would have been one of my picks as well. The reason being, and this is, I think, a something that you can generally level at the current design of the game, is that the Clash 2 fight guy, like the Clash 2 medium to heavy beat 'em up guy, or Cleave 2, that is to say.
Yeah.
They don't know how to make him a thing for the most part. Like, I mean, Bearsarks are good because they get the extra action.
They threat 13. Long threat ranges.
That's what makes them good. If you take that out of the mix, they're just another, like, it seems like
they'd be better as a medium.
Yeah, that certainly might be the case. I just think that generally, Parabellum seems to have a little bit of a difficulty with the cleave to design space in general.
Off the top of my head, you got Woundbred, you got Magma Forge. Magma Forge have a spot. It's just,
Uyghur,
oh yeah, Uger,
rest
Uger.
my case.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just most PB is decided, and I mean it is true because it's the most meaningful, I think, amount of cleave that you can have on a unit. But they've decided that cleave 2 is very important, capital B, capital I, for better or for worse. And so that means that all the units that get it seem to have these crazy downsides because they don't want to make something with cleave 2 too useful in other ways.
Well, look at Bear Sharks. Like they're premium. Like
Well,
that
yeah,
is
I mean,
that is an incredible scalpel, to be honest.
yeah. Well, that's the thing. I
They're
mean,
they're
they're
safe.
a little too good.
Yeah, like they're safe. They get to apply their damage, and they get to do it on their terms.
Yeah.
Like that's phenomenal. That's what you want.
Yeah, but everything else, like Steel Legion seems scary in paper, and then you actually get into them on the table, and you're like, oh, well, I just have to apply pressure to them.
Yeah, like so with the Steel Legion, it's like they Vanguard deploy, they get up the table, then they can double time and get up the table and into position, but their actual threat range of dealing damage is still a March 5 infantry regiment. Like on top of that, they're still susceptible to chip damage. Like they're only 4 wounds of stands. They just kind of fall apart through chip damage, and their actual damage threat range, so when they're going to do the clash, is not as far as they're like if they're going to be coming on the table or every turn after if they're just getting into position. Like they can move 16 inches, which is phenomenal to get into position, but that doesn't matter if you still have to be like 8 inches away and your opponent can just like roll a 3 and get into you first and kill you.
Yeah.
So like they're set up to be like counter hammers, but then you get into the issue of like 100k being wound 4 and then running a bunch of bricks and stuff, and like basically having the Steel Legion run up alongside the brick, what is also moving the same speed as the Steel Legion, and you're going to prioritize the brick over the Steel Legion. But to be really effective, you need both the brick and the Steel Legion to hit at the same time. So like brick into the opponent infantry, Steel Legion, side charge into the opponent infantry, do a bunch of damage, Bob's your uncle, everyone's happy. But because you're going to prioritize the brick/anvil unit, Gilded Legion or Household Guard, over the Steel Legion on the reinforcement cascade, they're going to be a whole turn ahead of the Steel Legion. So when the Steel Legion need to commit, they're behind. The distance isn't there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, personally, I think my pick is probably actually the Steel Legion, just because I feel like they're
stuck in a trap.
Yeah, they're kind of they're just not a good call.
I like your pick better, because at least the Order of Crimson Tower, if you ever get into that situation where you have the brick and then you have the Order of the Crimson Tower, the Order of the Crimson Tower at least march faster than the Steel Legion.
Yeah. And I mean, Defense 4 is really the golden number in this game, so like that to me, like
and they're
going
5
up 7
wounds.
shield, yeah, and 5 wounds. So they have a lot more. Like at least they're kind of sucky when they get stuck in, but at least they'll be kind of sucky for an extra turn.
Yeah.
Whereas the Steel, like I've massacred Steel Legions. I've literally legions of them.
Yeah, I know. I've seen them die. Yeah, I'm leaning Steel Legion right now. I think you've convinced me there. Imperial Ranger Corps.
I want to hear what you have to say about that.
Basically, Merc Crossbow do everything Imperial Ranger Corps do except for cheaper. Like, you can't 1-to-1 comparison them, to be honest. But Merc Crossbows are in more warbands. Merc Crossbows are cheaper. More crossbows have same range. They have AP1, so when they get set up and can just take aim and shoot into the side of stuff, they're going to be outputting more damage. Imperial Ranger Corps are March 6, so they're faster. They're Volley 3, so they can just shoot and move, but they're also still Barrage 3, so they're not going to be really doing a ton of damage. And their defensive stats are still low, so they still die just as fast as like Merc crossbows, but then you're spending an extra 15 points.
Yeah.
You do have fluid, what's fun to use every once in a while, but if you get caught out, you're just gonna be eviscerated. So like, just take the cheaper option.
Yeah.
That's like Imperial Ranger Corps came out, a couple of people played with them, and then it was like back to Merc crossbows.
Yeah, I remember they had a little buzz around them initially, but
yeah,
it fell off.
So yeah, that's why I think they're one of the worst things in the faction. It's because there's something else in the faction that just kind of does their job just as well, or sometimes better, depending on the target, for cheaper.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you with Steel Legion.
Yeah, I think they just. I think it's more I think that's you can level almost similar criticisms to a lot of Cleave 2 pieces across the different factions, but in the 100 Kingdoms, that to me just is the one that sticks out, at least based on my experience on the other side of the table from 100 Kingdoms.
Yeah, make them mediums. Them being mediums would be actually.
That would probably help a lot, but then I feel like they're just Ugars at that point.
Yeah, but then they're 100k Ugars. And you have Vanguard.
Yeah, so they're better Ugars.
Yeah, so they're better. Alright, let's go to the next one. What we got? Spires?
Yeah, this is gonna be a tough one.
I think there's one, two. I think there's two things in here that are on point for worst thing in the faction.
All right, lay it on me.
Okay. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Mimic Assassin, Abomination.
Okay, yeah. I mean, when you put it like that, it's pretty obvious. Yeah, they're both pretty fucking bad. Well, there was in our Discord, which obviously anybody listening to this should know about because they saw it on our Discord. People were talking about how the Mimetic Assassin sucks.
That was in the podcasters channel. It's all for the content creators.
Oh, whoops. Well, then I guess you didn't hear fucking nothing. Nobody had a conversation about anything, so shut the hell up.
Yeah. So if you don't know what mostly we don't talk about this is there's a content creator channel, and I guess we've done it one year already, but sometime next year, early on, we're gonna get all the content creators together. We're gonna talk about Conquest in the year of 2024. So we have a channel for that, and
year of our Lord 20.
Yeah, Haziel be praised. So that is an episode that is in the works and will be coming out at some point, probably maybe end of January, beginning of February for everybody. But there was discussion in there as we were organizing the Mimic Assassin. But I already knew the Abomination was bad, but then they reminded me of the Mimic Assassin and how terrible he is.
Well, the Mimetic Assassin, I feel like, is from a bygone era as well. Some stuff is kind of beholden to the way that the design of this game has changed over time, and I feel like the Mimetic Assassin is 1,000% one of them because it was originally so reliant on doing Seek New Escort tricks that what does it do now?
Well, it still has Seek New Escort as a rule. It is the only character in the entire game that has Seek New Escort. And it's literally just old Seek New Escort. Actually, does it have a range?
Doesn't look like it.
No, because I think it was tied to the movement, but Seek New Escort itself got removed. But then it was tied to the movement, and the movement stat got removed, so now I can't even do that because you can't tell the range. So is Seek New Escort now just infinite? Because it says a character set may perform this action to leave their current regiment and join another friendly regiment that they can legally join regardless of the warband the regiment belongs to.
Yeah, rules is written. It sounds like you just teleport.
Yeah, wow, okay, so now it's range instead of 16.
That doesn't make it good, but it's interesting.
Oh, God. Should we talk about how bad this thing is?
Yeah.
Okay. It's a character. It's effectively an officer you're spending 90 points on. Well, it's a huge cost to just have, Quicksilver Strike, 5 attacks at Clash 4 with Quicksilver Strike and reroll and Flurry. What is pretty good, it can die, it's evasion 2, so if it doesn't kill something on the Quicksilver, it'll just kind of get bopped over the head. It can take a bunch of mutations, so it can add stuff to warbands. It can take combat masteries. What kind of combat masteries does it have? Pardon me, I'm just bourbon. It can disordering strikes, basically. Overkill. Yeah. So it doesn't really bring anything to the army. There's nothing in there like artifacts like in other factions where you have like the Cleave 4 sword or the Cleave 3 axe from Dwag. So you can't just like output a ton of damage. Is there the mutation where you make the clash better? You can get heightened reflexes and give it evasion 3. Nice. Oh, here we go. Adaptive evolution. So it can get +1 clash volley resolver defense to a max of 4. That's wasted because it's already clash 4 base. Give it tenacious. Like it's just a point sink. And there's plenty of times where dueling doesn't matter, or the regiment. If you do get into a fight, because it can only join other infantry regiments, and Spire's infantry itself doesn't tend to live that long unless it's in a big brick with a character making it better, like a big force drone block. The Mimetic Assassin isn't going to live that long. And won't have time to sit in another block, teleport to another block, and then do the combat. Because it's an action to move from one block to the other.
Yeah, those tricks are relics of they're for a different game, essentially.
Yeah, this is like this thing had a warband at one point, and now it's just a character that can join any warband. And dueling isn't prevalent in the game to justify a 90-point cost to duel.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of the times, the Mimic Assassin's going to win with Quicksilver Strike and Flurry. But is it worth it to spend 90 points? Like, 90 points is another Uniforce Grown Drones, or a Ferromancer, and then almost like a Biomancer or High Clone. Like, and then a ton of upgrades. Like, it's a huge point sink.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of times where you're just not going to output anything because the regiment it's in is going to die basically immediately. Because there's times where it's like the Mimic Assassin is in a regiment, it fights, it kills the target, and then that regiment that the target was in just kills the Mimic Assassin's regiment and it dies.
Yeah.
Like, was that worth 90 points? No.
No, it definitely was not.
Yeah, it's just
so bad. Yeah, it's really fucking bad. But I mean, the Abomination too. What a stinker!
Oh, sorry, I've forgotten the purity of purpose. When this stand performs a dual action, each failed defense roll made by the enemy character stand causes 2 wounds instead of 1. Yeah, and does not stack with deadly blades. Okay, cool. Like, it's winning, but it's a lot of points. All right, I'm done with him. Abomination, you're up. Tell me about this beaut. Cass?
Oh, so the Abomination, it's move 10, it's clash 2, it's 10 attacks, 10 wounds, resolve 4, defense 3, and then for special rules, it's got cleave 1, flurry, terrifying 1, and impact 5. So impact 5 at clash 2, you can basically just count that out.
Wait a minute, you're getting a hit. You're getting 2 hits, maybe.
Yeah, if that. And I mean, that's just hits. We're not even taking into account whether or not they get saved.
Yeah.
So that's kind of just like, that's a non-thing to me, in terms of what you get for the points that you're spending. It's also 150 points for this package, so you'd think that something with 10 wounds, it moves 10, at least it can go somewhere and get in the way and soak up about 10 wounds, so about 1 combat activation, and then die, I guess, but that's a steep cost for 150 points. Florian Clash 2, it's not great. You'd much prefer to have Florian on Clash 3. Sleeve 1 is fine. I don't have necessarily any complaints there, but it's not compelling either. It's just special rule. Terrifying 1, for the amount of stuff that it's like, the amount of output that it's getting on the wounds, I just don't think you're getting a huge return on the terrifying either. So overall, it's just like, it scrabbles up the board really fast and then dies immediately. Like, occasionally you'll get to hit a backline objective marker or something and be cute with it, but like, you were probably going to win that one anyway.
Yeah, it's just, it's a wasted.
If you did that in the first place.
Like, it's a wasted restricted slot in the warband it can be taken in. I've had this thing side charge merc crossbows and only kill a stand.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how disappointing the abomination is.
I would throw my army in the garbage. Leave it that.
They're literally, at some point there's a battle report where they're, at one point the abomination is stuck in the side of the merc crossbows, and it's like, oh, okay, what do I do? I'm like, I think I activate like either Crimson Towers or more merc crossbows or something and just like shoot it to death because it only has 10 wounds. It just fucking dies.
Yeah, it's like a shitty Apex, because it can do sort of what the Apex does, which is get in places where you wouldn't expect and bully things, but it doesn't do it just gets there. It doesn't really do any of the bullying.
Yeah, like, it's fast. And so here's the thing. I was talking to Apex Chinchilla about this, is that, well, what if you made it medium? The issue with making it medium is that you're going to run like 4 to like 6 of these damn things, and that's going to be a real problem, because that medium, it actually has a really good stat line, but as heavy, it does not have a really good stat line. There's so many better just heavy options in the game that just outclass this thing right off the gate. And I think it's I think it's like you mentioned with the Steel Legion, the Mimic Assassin, it's old game design.
Yeah.
The game has evolved past this thing, and it really shows.
Yeah. But truly a testament to the Spires that they're still trying to
I don't
make outdated technology work.
Oh, don't tell Spires that. Oh. But I don't think I've seen an abomination on the table since like a year, almost 2 years ago at this point. No?
Yeah.
Over a year ago. Not 2 years, over a year. I think everyone's abominationed out.
Yeah, well, they were giving them away, right?
They were giving them away
for so long, so everybody had a bunch. Everybody's tried it.
That is fair and true.
And everybody has figured out that, nope, no thank you.
Yeah, if you run like 3 or 4 of them, they still just kind of like run up and die. They don't get enough output. Yeah. Oh, abomination. Poor you. Alright, between the Mimic Assassin and the Abomination, who do you think is worse?
Well, so this is I guess, it's going to come across a little bit mean, I think. So I apologize.
The listener knew.
But the Abomination is worse than the Mimetic Assassin because there's a chance you might run the Abomination, whereas that's unlikely to happen with the Mimetic Assassin.
Alright, I'm up for it. That's really good. You might accidentally put an Abomination in your list, but not a Mimic Assassin.
Yeah, that's what makes the difference there. Like, they're both bad, but one you might think, I can make it work.
I can fix her, trust me.
And that's worse. Like, the dog shit that looks like a piece of fudge is much worse than the dog shit that just looks like a lump of dog shit because nobody gets tricked by a lump of dog shit.
Oh, that's perfect. All right, Abomination, you're in. Oh, let's go over to Dweg Home. Oh my god.
I mean, this one I feel like actually is almost like a. It's so easy just knowing, even me just seeing what people are saying.
All right, you're up. Tell me what's bad in Dweg Home.
Is it Hold Thanes?
Okay, there's a couple things that are bad in Dweg Home, but yeah, it's Hold Thanes. One of them is that.
See?
All right. Do you have a second opinion? Do you have a second pick?
I mean, I don't really know everything here. I'm just gonna take a closer look. I feel like
because I'm gonna agree with you. I think Hold Thanes are bad, but I think there's something even worse in Dweg Home.
interesting. Is it Dragon Slayers?
No, it is not Dragon Slayer. Surprisingly,
Is it Stoneforged?
Yes.
I had a feeling.
There's a bit of me. So like, an honorable mention goes to the Infernal Automata. Far have you fallen? Like, all right. I want to start with the Infernal Automata. This poor bastard lost some speed and clash, and basically doesn't do kind of the same job that it used to do of like holding the line for Tempered Sorcerer lists as well. I think it might have dropped, like, I don't think it dropped Resolve or Defense. It's still Evasion too. This thing's fucking wild. But I think the reduction in clash and movement, as well as irregulars, kind of put into a spot that there are other cheaper options in Dweg Home to take that will just be as effective or better than the Infernal Automata. So I want to give it a little honorable mention of being bad. Like, there are times where I look at the Infernal Automata and I'm like, you know what, I could put this in a list. I don't see why not. I should play with it at some point, to be honest. But I really don't want to deal with it. It's not, with Clash 2 with 6 attacks, it's not outputting enough. Let's talk about Hold Thanes. Why do you think Hold Thanes are bad?
Well, they're just they feel like another sort of orphan unit in terms of purpose. Like,
sorry, an orphan?
Yeah, like there's just no. You would never pick them over something else. Like they're just sort of unimpressive compared to the other units. For a heavy slot unit, like definitely. I mean, Cleave 1, Shield, Harden 1. That's pretty whatever. I don't know off the top of my head any synergies that I really hate with them, which I think tells you a lot about how notable they are. Like, let's see, what are the officer options? So you can give them a little more hardened. You can give them +1 attacks.
Or of Death 4.
Or of Death 4.
So, okay. I'll give you some stuff for the Hold Thanes.
Mm-hmm.
You take them with a Hold Ray. Hold Ray gives them flank. The issue is that there are no speed ups in Dweg, so they're a March 5 infantry regiment, so they're not going to get up the table very quickly, and they're an anvil. So they need to be in position as soon as possible. Gilded Legion and Household Guard get away with being in position because one is a medium and the other one has access to Vanguard. Well, they both have access to Vanguard, but the heavy anvil has access to Vanguard, so they can get into position right away. Whole things do not, so they're going to be out of position for at least a minimum of 1 to 2 turns.
Yeah.
What then puts you behind on tempo. Their stats are... Their defensive stats is what you're kind of bringing them for as an anvil are similar. I don't want to say similar. I think they're basically the same. They're not hard. Where the fuck are the initiates? There they are. Are the same as the initiates, except for the change of Harden. What, to be honest, is fine. Like, you're still going to be defense 4. Being susceptible to cleave. 1 going to defense 3 is fine because you're also, I don't know, like 55 points cheaper. Like, if you buy an MSU of Hold Thanes, that's 4 stands of Initiates.
Damn.
Oh, and they both have banners because the Standard Bearer for the Initiates is 10 points. So for 55 points, you are... That takes you to... Hold on, I'm just doing some quick math. That's 50. Yeah. So 200. Okay, so yeah. No banner, but you have 4 stands of Initiates for the same defensive stats. 1 less cleave and... no cleave and 1 less clash. But the Hold Ray is going to be in both these units anyway, and he's going to be the actual damage dealer in that anvil. Also, like, the Initiates have support, the Hold Things don't, so you're paying for a premium anvil that can't get into position.
Yeah.
And you have an option in the faction that's cheaper as well as within the same warband. What does the same job.
Mm-hmm.
So just take the cheaper option. What's the initiative? They also come on a turn sooner.
Yeah, and that's huge right now.
Yeah. So that's why things bad. They're being outclassed by a bunch of Initiates.
Yeah.
Okay, do you want me to talk about why the Stoneforge is bad?
I do.
Okay. So this guy has the wonderful issue of being a hog on your army roll. So this thing, without shit tickets, is okay, but not that great. It's got 10 attacks base, it's Clash 3. It does have a rule to give it Bless, but that's if you spend, I think, 3 shit tickets? Where is it? Oh, is it on the rider? Hold on, let me go find the rider. Masteries. Yeah, so you have to have the rider on it, so now it's more expensive. So it's got to spend 2 shit tickets, and then then it gets blessed. And like, it's 10 attacks, and as we found out with the Abomination, 10 attacks aren't that good. It is Clash 3, so it's gonna be a little better. But you're gonna be only generating so many shit tickets, and this thing is gonna be eating your shit tickets and not providing you the benefits of the shit tickets. Like, one of the reasons why the Tempered Steel Shaper's Supremacy is so good is because you're getting the baseline army rule of stopping auto-passing defense rolls or auto-passing clash or resolve or whatever you want, and healing on top of that. While for the Stoneforge, you're just spending those tickets and not getting that army roll, and you're just giving it, like, blessed and more attacks. So it can get up to, like, 13 attacks, what is a respectable amount where it should kind of be baseline as a monster at 220 points. And not just 10. Like, it's too pricey without the tickets, and it's being acceptable with the tickets, what are then pulling from storing them for when you need them defensively or wherever else you want to do with them.
Yeah.
So it's being a resource hog, and that's why it's not good.
That makes sense.
Okay, who do you think is worse, Hold Thanes or Stoneforge?
I mean, probably Stoneforged at that point, because it's if it's fucking with your army rule and messing that up, then that's, to me, worse than just being too expensive and kind of underwhelming for the points.
Yeah. Okay, Stoneforge, you're in the list. You're in the running.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
You're in the bracket.
Alright, Nords, tell me what's bad.
Right now, like, it's tough for Nords because everything is pretty strong right at the moment. I would say probably. So Uger, I don't want to, like, they are bad, but I don't want to pick them just because you can make basically all the same complaints that you do about Steel Legion, and they're all equally valid. Not worth doubling that up, I feel like. So probably for me, right now, in my mind, it comes down to probably between Steel Chosen and Stalkers.
Ooh, Stalkers I agree with. Why Steel Chosen?
They just, for what they are, I don't think, for their price and their resiliency, I don't think they're a worthwhile choice. Like, even if you're taking the Connie warband, you'd still prefer to put the Cannoneer in some bow chosen.
Okay.
Flurry is nice. The problem is, like, they only move sort of Nord speed, which is not the worst thing in the world, but it does mean that you're really only having an inch of threat advantage for the most part against other infantry regiments, and none whatsoever against like cav and the like, and monsters, of course. So it's not, and shield biter I just think is not a worthwhile upgrade to take in any scenario. They're expensive for additional stands, so they become a big investment to actually bulk up, which is, you kind of almost have to take a Blade of Wounds at defense 2 evasion 1, because even at 5 wounds, like those wounds are still going to be going up fast. 6 attacks flurrying is okay. The impact 2 is, again, this is another, like, although it's better on Clash 3, it's still pretty worthless. Overall, it's not going to be a tremendous change to your input. Linebreaker, I generally feel like, is a rule that feels better than it plays.
It
And the
comes up
War Brethren,
it comes up every once in a while.
it does, but not to the degree where it's like, oh, gotta take that. Like, it's not like a smite type of special rule where you want to find a way to make that work.
Mm-hmm.
So the War Brethren special rule is kind of it feels counterintuitive because it in a way, like, it feels like, even though I said that you'd be better off putting your Cannoneer in the unit of bow chosen, the War Brethren, like, so the Steel Chosen feel like they're supposed to carry a Cannoneer, but this makes it seem like you want to have the Cannoneer somewhere else so that you get the benefit of that rule. And I just don't see a scenario where you're running more than one regiment of Steel Chosen, so I don't think that you can use it to give them opportunists in stereo, or at least that's not something that you would normally do. So they don't feel like they have a role, to be honest. Because
Well, I'm comparing them to like Raiders and Ufnarl. I feel like Raiders and Ufnarl just kind of cover that whatever Steel Chosen are trying to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they're not updated out yet, but we know they're coming out soon. And I do agree with you. If this is what's coming out,
Sorry, I actually thought they were out. So otherwise,
well, no, their minis have been shown. Maybe they're on the store. Hold on, let me. Conquest. Get out of my way, cords. Wow, I'm just hitting everything, but not the right thing. I've seen the minis for these guys.
Yeah, I've definitely seen the miniatures, so I know that was part of why I thought that they would be a valid choice.
So if I hit new releases,
for the rules that we made for ourselves, but
Steel Chosen is a new release. The Goater Beast Pack, have they been updated? No, they haven't been updated, but people have them, so they're out. They just haven't updated in the app.
crazy.
Yeah, so this Steel Chosen are out.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, so they're allowed. They're just really new.
So yeah, I mean, that would be kind of my first pick there. Stalkers lost everything. Like, they just don't have a role currently. Flank is fine, but I mean, they're just If you're running blooded, you're running it. You're trying to get other stuff in your list. Like stalkers just don't have a place. Um,
Well, they would. They're like the third pick down after you filled your warband with like 2 units of blooded stalkers and troll. Like, sorry, 2 units of blooded trolls, and then you'd have stalkers. Because I think blood or Bocho used to be restricted before, so you take stalkers to unlock them.
well, see, before there was also characters could enable scoring on a regiment, so you would take your blooded in the stalkers to get them out and on a point
Yeah,
and capping, and now they don't do that. So they're just a mediocre unit overall. Like they're Clash 2, Volley 2, Barrage 3, so they're
they
just
lost a
great
volley.
shooters. Yeah, they used to be better shooters. And so with flank, I don't know. I don't think that that's something that like it's pretty easy to get your army out without having to flank max with Nords right now. Opportunists is all well and good, but it just you wouldn't. Also, they're half bloods, so you're not getting a lot of like role synergy with other warbands and things like that. So whereas you can like if you're going with a Jarl warlord, um, everyone who's a mortal gets a buff, so why wouldn't you lean into that? So you're further disincented to use. I don't see there ever being a time when you'd pick them because there's always better stuff to slot in there. It's kind of the problem with that Ulf Hednar have as well is they're not on paper they're not a terrible unit, but just they're a little overcosted. I feel like,
Yeah.
but even if they were costed more competitively, like there's always like anytime that you have the option to choose Ulf Hednar, you also have the option of choosing 2 Raiders and 2 Bearsarks, and that's objectively a better choice.
Well, was it Raiders and then 10 points for captain? They're 120. So 130 point Raiders. Look at
Yeah.
like will come on turn one. Yeah, done. Like that's is Raiders keeping Nord is locking Nords down from having good nice things. Maybe.
Well, I mean, sort of. It's just they're just such a logical choice. Like they're so effective for what they are that it's almost too good to be true for what is supposed to be your light line troop.
Yeah.
And so probably what that you should take that to mean is that this era of fun is not going to last forever, but make the most of it while you can.
No, I get you there. Um, out of Stalkers and Steel Chosen, which one should be in the race?
What do you think? That's
I wanna okay. I wanted to baseline before we started go with Stalkers because they've had a real hard hit like fall from grace from what they used to be when that October update happened. They've lost a lot and they kind of don't see play right now because there's just for like a shooting regiment you might as well just go Bow Chosen and then Connie's just a better warband. Like I do agree with you, the Blooded warband isn't that great. There's just better buffs in other warbands. But then you went over the Steel Chosen, and I was really looking at the Ufnarl and the Raiders. Like, I had them open while you were going through the Steel Chosen. It's like, okay, you can either take Steel Chosen, or you can drop it by 10 points and basically just take Ufnarl, and you're fine. Or you can even go lower and just take more Raiders. Like, they don't have a spot.
There's nothing about the Steel Chosen package where it makes you forget about how much they cost.
Yeah.
I think is the easiest, or the most concise way that I can sum that up.
Like, for me, either like Stalkers or Steel Chosen could be the winners here of entering the race.
Yeah, it's tough. I feel like, God, this one feels like a toss-up because they're both kind of
Shite.
well. There's nothing that with usually they're both shitty for largely the same reasons is what makes it tough. And so it's hard to say oh, this is the bad one.
Okay.
Make the same argument about both.
I have the answer.
Okay.
It's the Stalkers because people already own Stalkers. Because right now, people can save their money and not buy Steel Chosen.
No, that's legit. All right. I'm in.
All right, cool. Stalkers, you're in the race.
Yeah.
Oh, look at you, Wadroon. You're up.
So right now, honestly, I'm gonna say it's blooded.
Blooded, really? Apex Chinchilla went with the Drum Beast.
Let me look at the drum beast. That's a good point.
Like this is the Drum Beast is what started this whole thing.
Let's see.
You know, in post, I should put on Jeopardy music, like. That sounds like way too much work, and everyone knows I'm not doing that.
That's fair. But now they've heard you talk about it too.
They hear me talk about a lot of stuff.
Fair. Okay, so let's look at the blooded first of all. So they're movement 5. They are volley 1, which is weird. Flash 2, 6 attacks, 5 wounds, resolve 3, defense 2, evasion 1. They are part of the tribes. They come with a leader and a standard bearer. It's 40 points for an additional stand. They're 130 points for the regiment. And you can give them an aberration for 20 points. So you would never do that, though.
Please don't.
Yeah, you can definitely find something else to do with those 20 points, or just save them for a rainy day, because that's even better than using an aberration. All it does is give you 1 additional chant marker to the chant sequence belonging to its cult for 20 points. It's not worth it. So what you have left is just an extremely mid unit, whereas Blooded have now gotten a glow up that that makes you want to take them to fulfill the line infantry role, because they're just without bloodlust. They're actually just okay.
You mean the Braves?
Braves, yeah, excuse me.
No problem.
The Braves are just decent without bloodlust. Like they're just pretty good. So now it's an obvious choice, and all the things that made the blooded good, which was their officer upgrades, are gone. So without flank or fiend hunter, there's really nothing like the additional attack, or maybe is it 2 attacks?
Well, the Braves gained an attack.
Yeah, the Braves gained an attack, so there's no, that gap doesn't exist anymore.
Like it's three less attacks for +1 defense.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty easy choice to make.
Yeah, it big.
So yeah, the blooded, or the blooded just feel kind of. They're another unit that's become adrift, but it's not even that. I don't think they got intentionally nerfed. It's just the changes to the way officers work sort of just annihilated their purpose.
But also the Braves got buffed to the point where the bloody got pushed out.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna be honest. I think Braves just need to lose bloodlust. They didn't need the extra attack.
No, they didn't necessarily. Like, it's nice, but it wasn't. Losing bloodlust gave them so much.
Yeah.
That it everything else feels like, the cherries on top, so to speak.
No, I get you there. Like I do agree. I think blooded are not in a great spot. All right, let's talk about the Drum Beast.
I like the dumb beast.
Oh.
Actually, I guess Chosen of Death might be contenders as well.
Oh fuck, that's right.
God damn it. We'll get them too, but so the drum beast, so we got movement 6 on a heavy, 310 points. Volley 2, clash 2, 12 attacks, 26 wounds, 3 resolve, 3 defense.
Evasion 0, where it belongs.
Evasion 0, yeah. So you get brutal impact 2, you get cleave, you get drum beat, which adds a. It's just more chant markers.
Whenever you
Who
chant.
cares?
Yeah, okay.
Fearless, Impact 6, Inspired, Linebreaker, March of Giants, which makes it so they can't be the march characteristic and march distance can't be reduced. Essentially, by special abilities or by abilities, special rules, or terrain. So it
What?
always.
Just to remind you, there are currently none in the game. It's a
Yeah.
rule. The rule it does nothing.
So you got Oblivious, which fine. Towering Presence, so it counts as being size 4, and then it's trample 8. It chants Primal Cacophony, which means that during the battle, you may chant this battle cry by discarding 3 chant markers of any cult in any combination from the sequence. Enemy regiments within 10 inches of the drum beast must use the lowest resolve characteristic in the regiment. So that's a big investment of chant markers for a relatively small return, just because generally speaking, the resolve variance in a unit, when you're getting into the lowest, it's not like there's never really the resolve 1 unit with the resolve 4 guy propping them up scenario that this would be useful for. So that, strike it, not good. Never gonna use that. Flash 2, Volley 2, so even though it counts as inspired all the time, that's still just going up to 3.
Is it all the time, or does it just have inspired? Like,
Oh, maybe it just has inspired, sorry.
Yeah, no, it just has inspired. It's not like
So
it
it just
always
has
inspired.
inspired. Yeah, so potentially, assuming nothing cancels your inspired, you go up to 3. But otherwise you're at a 2, but there's nothing giving you rerolls there either.
Nope.
So that stinks. Like, even so, 12 attacks on 2s, still not great output.
No,
It's
and
not, doesn't balance out.
and then if you spend 20 more points, you get 4 more attacks and relentless blows with dominating presence for a chant, what gives you 2 additional stands for seizing objectives. And you ignore special rules that make you count as less.
Yeah, so I mean, there's probably, like, if you've already got the monster on the objective zone, I don't know that you need to, or you should be, investing resources into giving yourself additional stands. The monster should be essentially doing the job. So that feels like it's supporting bad play rather than enabling good play.
Well, this is the Tauntor. Like, the Tauntor, you get 4 extra attacks, relentless blows, and that chant.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, it's not even on the drum beast. The
Yeah.
Tauntor might chant that, but the Tauntor is going to be stuck in there with the same amount of wounds and better killing power.
Yeah.
Like, just spend the extra 20 points for a Tauntor.
Yeah.
Like,
Really.
so like my issue with the drum beast is that it's supposed to fix chanting, except chanting is a fundamental part of Wadroon. So it's very much like, okay, you play the drum beast as you're learning Wadroon, and then you get rid of your crutches, what's the drum beast, and then you just play Wadroon, but now you have a drum beast you're never going to use anymore, so you might as well have just made a Tauntor instead.
Yeah.
Like,
It's a very expensive pitch.
yeah. I don't know. I don't know what to, like, I'm never going to be like one of those people like, oh, this is all the things I'd want to redesign. I have no idea what you would do with this thing. It just, the Tauntor does everything it wants to do. You can just learn how to chant. You're going to need to do it anyway.
Yeah.
That's it.
And, yeah, that's, like, the difference in points isn't enough to justify, like, taking a worse Tauntor. You might as well just find the points to take the Tauntor. So in that, like, yeah, in that regard, I don't know. It's pretty bad just because they price the Tauntors as though they're gonna single-handedly win you the game, the Tauntor and the Drum Beast, and neither of them are. So, like, I get that they don't want you to just, like, monster match. I mean, they do, but they don't. But that's a different podcast. They
That's the Halloween episode for next year. Monster Mash is still a thing.
exactly. But like, my point is, yeah, it's a huge investment of cash and points for something that doesn't really do as much as you want it to. So for that reason, like I mean, even with the problems that the other units have, it's hard not to argue that the drum beast is probably the shits.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do we even need to look at Chosen to Death? Like they just need a tune-up. Whereas the drum beast needs to almost be redesigned.
He does need a redesign. Chosen to Death. Do you want to talk about them? Or do you think, or we think we're good with Blooded and Drum Beast for the?
I think we're good with Blooded and Drum Beast.
Okay, Chosen to Death haven't been out to really see how they perform.
Yeah, but people don't feel good about them. I think that is worth noting, is that they looked a lot better before they got closer to the release and got that rules revisions. So.
Yeah, because what, you're gonna be like Evasion 3 with reroll 6s if you pop everything off.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And you have Flawless. Sweet. Sweet.
Good models, though.
Yeah, they look great. Alright, between the Blood and the Drum Beast, who should be in the race?
I think it's the Drum Beast, ultimately, because like you can at least bust the arms off your Blooded and turn him back into Braves, but there's no fixing that Drum Beast.
Is the Drum Beast and the Tauntaur two separate kits?
Oh, yeah.
Oh!
Yeah. They have, so the
wow.
dinosaur body...
Yep.
And the Howdah, or parts of the Howdah, are shared, but then there's the head and the surface, like the additional Howdah accessories, and the stuff all around them is on its own specific spruce to that kit. So it's not a multi-kit.
Oh wow, yeah, okay. Drum Beast, you are the weakest link. Get into the race to the bottom.
Yeah, and I bought both, so I feel that.
Oh man.
Acutely.
Do you just play both as Tauntaurs at this point?
That's what I would do, yeah. If I was playing with Drune, I would probably just proxy to them as another Tauntaur.
That's fair. Old Dominion, we're getting there.
Yeah, this one feels like this is where my knowledge of things really falls apart. So
that's okay. I think there's only one thing in here that deserves the rank of bad.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
What's that?
I will talk about it. Let me know if you find anything that should be in there.
Mm-hmm.
So okay. Before I reveal what it is, I want to talk about the Centaur Cav. I haven't seen them on the table yet. At one point, I did talk to a guy who was building them. We were chatting. Shout out to Jeff. And we're going. Yeah, Jeff. He's my Saskatoon family. I'm currently working out of Saskatoon, so I live with him and his family. And he was building the Centaurs. He was the guy who was the TO for the Saskatoon tournament I went to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So shout out to Jeff. I think the Old Dominion Cavalry is good, but I don't think it's like phenomenal. Like I think people are gonna run it casually. I'm not sure if people are gonna run it at big tournaments, kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
It's one of those where it's like I think it's acceptable casually. I think you can do it well. I think if you're a good player, you're gonna get a lot out of them. But I just like don't see it like further on kind of thing. So, but I haven't played into them, so that I could just be 100% talking about my ass. So I don't think they're bad or anything. There's a little, it's in that little bit of like, I need to see it played. I need to see how well they do to really give a good, opinion / review of them.
Yeah.
But I wanted to honorable mention them because I feel like they're a little more. I think the shooty cav is pretty good. The melee cav is okay. I think you're gonna play the shooty cav more, to be honest, just because it's actually a really good gun. But then the true thing that is bad in Old Dominion is the Hahashin.
Hashashin.
The Hahashin. So I would now with the Hahashin, you could say like, oh, the cultists are bad, but it's like no, the cultists have a very defined role. They are a light, and they allow you to put a character in them and have them on turn 1 for your Hyrule Deacon. That is literally their whole goal. Plus, they're cheap as fuck at 90 points. You can justify losing dark power points for a 90-point cultists.
Yeah.
That's it. The Hahashin is a restricted slot, and they're 180 points. So they're double the point cost. And you're losing a minimum of 2 dark power points.
Mm-hmm.
They got Cleave 1 and Deadly Blades. They got Vanguard, so they're light. They're going to be up the table. They're 4 wounds, evasion 2, so they're very much susceptible to chip, and they're going to die. And you know they have resolve, so you're actually going to get damage into these guys. They're Clash 2 with 7 attacks. They're going to be doing really well, but I feel with the lack of dark power generation and for such a high point cost, and also they're competing with Morai and Curies for that light infantry spot, they just completely get taken off the table because Curies are going to be threatening 20 inches every turn. Mm-hmm. Sorry, not Curies. Morai are going to be threatening like 20 inches every turn. And Curies are just their magic gun is super good. Like, Hashashin don't have a spot, and they don't contribute as well when they die like the Curies and Morai.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Even looking at them, you can just look at the stat line and see that there's really... Also, Hashashin at 60 points for additional stands.
Oh, it's crazy.
But yeah, I mean, so they'll hurt if they get into something first and do the damage, but the thing is they probably won't, and they'll be so far away from everything else that they're unsupported, so they don't really have anything to assist them with that. So you're really just whipping them into your opponent so that they can maybe take out a stand or two before they get annihilated.
But like Morai, you can Memories Old for Cleave 1. You don't have Deadly Blades. You threaten further with their translocation spell of just getting a free 8-inch teleport. They're loose, so they're going to survive against shooting. They don't take resolve damage. They're the same evasion, same wounds. They're the same point cost. They're the same speed. They don't have Vanguard, but then again, you're teleporting 8 inches, so you're going to be going further anyway. And you're devout, so you get a free success when you cast on yourself anyway. Like, the Morai are just better.
Yeah.
Like, they're just outclassed by something better. So I don't think Hahashin are going to see play. Like, everything else in Old Dominion has a spot. Like, I would throw Brucepaloi in there, but I still think Brucepaloi are good. They're just kind of getting picked on because Old Dominion has an abundance of really good heavy options.
Yeah. And
Brucepaloi are the weakest thing of the heavy options, but they're still really good.
Yeah.
Why the fuck do these guys have Tenacious 1? Why? You're already dead. You don't take resolve anyway. Like, please stop. You're being mean. Yeah, so I would say Hahashin are the weakest link.
Yeah. That's yeah, I don't think I have a counter to that at all. They definitely seem like the worst option out of what's available there.
All right, so now we're going to city states. I think this is going to get really hard.
Yeah.
So before the update, there's a couple things in city states that I'd say are like just bad. After the update, I think everything. Oh no, I'm wrong. I found it.
What is it?
Oh, this is super easy. It wasn't even difficult. Hardly an inconvenience. The Sadorai.
Sadorai?
Yeah, Sadorai.
Why? Tell me about that.
No. Just go through their. Go through their data sheet. Just say it out loud.
All right. So movement 6, volley 1, flash 2, 5 attacks, 4 wounds, resolve 2, defense 1, evasion 2. They are fluid formation. They're irregular. They are shielded. They have opportunists. Cleave 1, impact 2, Vanguard, and they have a special rule. It makes it so they can enter the battlefield from any board edge, excluding your opponent's reinforcement edge, ignoring the enemy's reinforcement line. Character stands cannot be attached to this regiment. It costs 200 points, and additional stands are 60 points.
Okay. Why are they bad?
Well, it's let's see. The Homeland Defense one is I mean, ultimately you're paying a huge amount of points for their gimmick. So
yes. They are 100% a gimmick unit. It took me a moment to remember that this thing existed. I've played into it once, and I was really worried that this was going to be game ending when it happened to me. But because they are a medium, and because of how they deploy, you can just deploy a heavy or another medium, like, basically right behind them, and then stab them in the ass after they commit. And it's very funny when that happens.
Yeah.
They do a great amount of output with their opportunists in Cleave 1 and their impacts, but they are Clash 2, so they're going to 3 with opportunists, but still pretty good at Cleave 1. So they're going to put a dent in something and hold it down, but they're just Evasion 2 and Resolve 2 and 4 wounds, so they basically just explode back for 200 points. Like, they die faster than Hoplites.
Yeah, that's very papery for 200 points. And it basically, well, and I mean, because of the gimmick, you are basically stuck with bad defensive stats, because something that can just ambush from behind your line and his defense 3 is obviously, everyone's going to be mad about that, and rightly so.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the Saturoi pay in many ways for the gimmick, and the gimmick is not even that game changing. So,
like, there are times where I could see the gimmick working, but you need to hold them back for as long as possible. And being a medium means they're going to be coming out on turn 4 no matter what. And there are still, like, either your opponent's mediums are coming out on turn 4 as well to counter you, or their heavies are coming out to just clean you up and move forward.
Yeah.
So you're paying 200 points for a gimmicky speed bump.
Yep.
What is not good.
No.
Besides that, I think City States is in a really good spot. Everything else here is 100% playable.
Yeah, they've gotten a lot of improvement.
So yeah, Saturoi. Pardon me. I don't know why I'm just burping all the time. It's very strange. Sorcerer Kings, and then we get to find out of all these people who is actually the worst.
Battle of the Bands. Yeah, so let's see what's going on here. So what do you think?
You don't have an opinion, do you?
I don't know them. Like I don't even think I've played into them yet, so unfortunately. I mean, I know what people didn't like before.
They had very obvious problems before. Like, Bloodlust and all the elementals was just bad. Just straight up bad. But now they're actually in, like, a very... I think they're in a very good spot. I think they're doing well. There's a couple builds you can do that make them really good. As the game goes longer and you keep your wizards alive, the better Sorcerer Kings does. You don't want to lose your wizards. Your opponent wants to cut your wizards out as early as possible, because that's where a lot of your power comes from. So, with that said, I think the worst thing in Sorcerer Kings is going to be our first character. It's the Sardar.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. He's a character, but it's not a wizard. So he doesn't contribute to the army rule at all.
That's a big one.
He doesn't cast spells, but the sorcerer is buffing, the Maharaja is doing damage, the Raja is self-buffing. They're all contributing to the rituals in a variety of different ways. The Sardar does have the Arcane Conduit rule, so if he is on a zone, he'll add a ritual marker. But all the sorcerers, the Maharaja, the Raj, and the Sorcerer, all have an additional character action to add a ritual marker, so they're not required to be on the zone while he is.
Yeah.
So now he can potentially put himself in harm's way because you're trying to gain ritual markers while the other ones could be in a better position.
Yeah.
He does have a fear and discipline, so infantry regiments without elemental that are seizing and and treat their command stat as 2 additional. So that's kind of nice, but the infantry regiments you bring are like disciples or Raja Corps, and they're just going to be character bunkers anyway. So like if they're on zones, you're controlling that zone and not expecting to die, while the elementals themselves are doing a lot of the actual work.
Yeah.
He's got the word of voice draw event. It gives you unyielding. What is, I think you always control the zone. Yes. Sorry. If the player in control of a character stand with this draw event activate a ritual command card in a previous draw command step of this round, the regiment this character stand is currently attached to gains the unyielding. So your previous card before him... Sorry. If the player in control of a character stand with this draw event activate a ritual command card in a previous draw command step of this round, in a previous, not the previous, so just at any point before the regiment this character is currently attached to gains unyielding. Okay, cool. So his whole stick is controlling zones, but like he doesn't do anything for the army roll, and he's 70 points, and all he can bring for mainstays is Rajakur and disciples. He doesn't really like buff them, and then he can take him a hut and the initiates. Like, pretty sure who can take initiates? The sorcerer can take initiates. She'll sit in them. Maharaja can take initiates. He'll sit in them. Raj can take initiates. Yeah, like, they're all mainstay in the other three, while for him, they're restricted. Like, he's got poor special rules that don't influence the rest of the army and how the faction wants to build their lists, and he has a poor warband.
Yeah.
I think he's the weakest. Like, here's the thing. Before him, it'd be a fight between him and the goals before the update. Yeah. Currently, I think goals are at a point where they are acceptable for what they do.
Yeah.
What is a good spot to be? You want to be acceptable for the job you are assigned to do, and goals do that. Do they still die like bitches? Yes. But the Sardar doesn't do anything for anybody.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Gumming up a point for a turn is still some kind of a return on investment if you're playing meaningfully and making good decisions, but the Sardar, you're right, it sounds like he's like, he came from a different army and got transferred, and he's still adapting his management style to his new.
He's from a different firm.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? Like, if you put the Sardar in like 100k, Nords, city states, like you put him in any other faction, I think he would actually see play in a couple other factions.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that's it. I think his abilities would see justifiable play in like city states, Nords, 100k, and then like Spires. I think you're fucking asking for problems if you put him in Spires, to be honest. But Spires would probably take him because how Spires buffs work.
Yeah,
like he would do good work in other factions for sure. But
that's fair.
For what Sorcerer Kings is trying to do and how they want to generate ritual markers with their casters, I think he's too expensive. He's not that he's too expensive, but he doesn't benefit the army at all.
Yeah. No, and that's, I think, super valid. And that's, at the end of the day, like, so I kind of have two thoughts about that just in general. One is, so I think every war game ultimately is guilty of this. It's something that you really feel with Conquest, in my opinion, anyway. But it feels like they want to design some stuff into factions where they're like, well, if you want to play it the way you're not supposed to, here's some units that'll let you hook in and do that, but it's not well developed enough that you can actually like do that. So they just wind up being like purposeless characters.
You mean traps?
Yeah, so to speak. Essentially, that's what it boils down to.
Okay, so we have our list of contestants for this race finally. Now, who do you think is the actual worst? So, just a reminder: for 100K, we had the Steel Legion. For Spires, we had the Abomination. For Dweghome, we had the Stoneforge. For Nords, we had the Stalkers. For Madroon, we had the Drumbeast. Old Dominion, we had the Hushin. City States had the Sadorai, the ambush gimmick guys. And lastly, for Sorcerer Kings, we had the Sadar. Who do you think is actually the worst?
Tough to pick, because I can think like that.
They're all bad in different ways.
Yeah, they're all really shitty. But so, and I don't want to just give it to this unit so easily because I think that there's more to discuss. But it is really hard not to consider the fact that if you buy a drum beast, you've spent like $200 on a completely useless unit, and that sucks. That objectively licks. Like, it's a great model, but I don't buy great models. I buy models to play a game. So that alone doesn't get me there.
That's so good.
So that's a big one. Like, I think that's no pun intended, the elephant in the room. But if we discount that aspect of it, you can actually get into the meat of it and or the technicalities of it more accurately. And so Steel Legion are bad, but they're just underwhelming. So I think we can cut them out of the finals.
All right, you guys are the best of the worst.
Yeah,
good job. You were the first eliminated out of the race. Good job.
And the same thing with Stalkers. Like, they're just...
Yeah, like, I wouldn't be surprised if people, like, people would still throw Steel Legion, throw still Stalkers on the table, even if they're the worst thing in the faction. But they're not, like, just fucking god-awful or anything. Like, they're not hurting. Yeah. Like, they're not hurting you. You're just... Sorry. They're not hurting you enough to be terrible. They're just hurting you. It's like having a rock in your shoe. Where it's like,
it's not a black hole. Like, you can run them and still do things with them and win the game, and they will even help you win the game in some cases. But they just wouldn't be your first choices given the other options that you have. So on that basis, like, you can kind of cut those. I think
I agree with you there.
Take them out of the running. So that leaves us with we've got the Abom. We've got the Stoneforged, we've got the Drum Beast, we've got the Hashashin, we've got the Sadaroi, and we've got the Sardar.
Yeah.
So the Sardar is bad, but it only costs $30 and you don't have to take it.
If you play with them and fuck it up, it isn't like you drop $45 to like $150.
Yeah, and it's overall, like, it's just it's a how do I say this? Running the Sardar, I feel like, is going to be a situation where you're like, wow, what a cool model, and then you play a couple games with it and you're like, wow, that's a learning experience. So you're still getting some value out of it. Even if it's not winning you games.
The value is that you made a bad decision.
Yeah, you learned from a bad decision.
I will give him a positive here. All the units in his warband are in other warbands.
Yeah, so
you can push him over to better things.
Yeah, you don't have to take him. Which somehow in a race to the bottom podcast becomes an advantage, which is interesting. Becomes something where you're like, well, this isn't so bad because you don't have to use it, which is crazy. It's crazy to talk like that.
Yeah,
but accurate.
Yeah, I agree with you. He's out.
Yeah, so we can take him out of the running. Like, he sucks, but whatever. It's not the end of the world. So I'm closing the tab every time we narrow it down so that I can focus better.
Perfect.
So now we've got the Abomination, the Stoneforge, the Drum Beast, the Hashashin, the Sadarois. So
this is getting tough because they're all bad.
It's getting tight, yeah, because I can make arguments for why they're all really bad now. The so the Hashashin, they fall into the just underwhelming world of units to me. I think overall they're just something you wouldn't pick because they're bad.
Okay, you know what they remind me of?
Hmm.
They remind me of the Blooded. And
Yep.
why the Blooded didn't get into the race to the bottom.
No, that's fair.
Because the Drum Beast is just worse. But also, they're just getting outclassed by something else in the faction.
Yeah. So
what like is bad, but there is a chance for redemption.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like Hashashin are just not there in a very fundamental way, but they're not like you would not take them. Like they're useless in the sense that they're not the choice that you would make, but all in all, like they can do something
But
in
this
the
is
game.
a Hashashin. I would take Hashashin in other factions.
Mm-hmm.
Like they are like, if I look at them in a vacuum, they are good, and I want like 100k. I want Spires, Nord, Sorcerer King, City States. Like other factions would take them.
Yeah.
But Old Dominion doesn't want them.
No. They seem like they're playing a different game.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But I don't think they get into the worst of the worst territory either.
No, I agree. But they made it pretty far.
Yeah, they did make it far. So you'll have to make a shitty unit conspiracy iceberg based on the eliminations that we made. So it's like the okay ones were at the top, and then it goes down.
Do you want me to go get into Tier Maker?
Yeah.
Remember how that happened, or how well that went last time?
Yeah.
No, people. This is just an audio thing. People can listen to this one.
That's fair. That's fair. So yeah, that takes us to
would this be classified? Yeah, would this be classified as the quarterfinals? Yes, this would be classified as the quarterfinals.
Yes, the quarterfinals brings us to the unbracketed quarterfinals: the Abomination, the Stoneforged, the Drum Beast, and the Satyroy.
Oh,
and honestly,
they're all bad.
They're all bad, but I think the next cut does logically take us to the Abomination.
Oh, okay. Please do tell.
Well, the reason being, it's relatively economically priced for what it is, a bad unit compared to the others. It's shitty against somebody who knows what they're doing, but if you're playing against somebody who's less experienced, then this would not be a compelling reason to run a unit in any other scenario. But it does have the potential to be surprising if it's somebody who's new enough to be surprised. And there's something to be said for that. All in all, it's not something you pick to win the game, but you probably, if you play Spires, you probably have 2 or 3 of them anyways. So, you would never I don't think there's a reason to take it for serious play, but I don't know. It's just compared to the other ones, I can make stronger arguments for why the other ones are worse than the Abomination, where I'm just like, well, it just sucks. And so for that reason, I think it has to get cut at this point from the worst to the worst.
Also, a bunch of people own this thing, and on a demo, I think this is a perfect demo tool, to be honest.
Yeah, I think there's truth to that for sure.
So there's a positive for it, so it gets wiped out.
It's sort of it's the worst of it's just underwhelming models. So I think it's getting cut at the right time, but I do think it's the worst of the ones where it's just this just sucks.
Okay, I agree with you. Yeah.
Because that's all it does. But you could do something funny with it every so often. Get that out of the round. So now we've got the Stoneforge, the Drum Beast, and the Satyroy.
I don't know which one's worse. That's least bad of the three.
Yeah, it gets really tough at this point. Like I almost so for me, it's the Stone Forged.
Really? I would have put the Saturoi, but please continue.
So for what like definitely the negative synergy is bad.
Oh, 100%. This thing fucking sucks.
Yeah, it's really shitty, but if like all in all, like defense 3, resolve 4, 20 wounds. It has some staying power. It's gonna hit relatively decent on Clash 4s. You can like, and that's the same reason why I am going to make controversial calls on the Drum Beast soon. Is that a big fuck heavy monster? At the end of the day, you can plop it on an objective and buy yourself 2 turns where you're probably contesting, if not controlling it.
You can just be a dummy thick monster and just take a paddling.
Honestly, like you can just dumb guy it out at the end of the day. If it really like if you have nothing else going for you, you can always do that. And so for that reason, even the Drum Beast, like the Drum Beast just sucks because you spent so much money for nothing. That's the main thing. Is why for comparatively nothing for what it is, and then you're paying a huge premium on the tabletop too, so it never gets better. And that sucks. But Saturoi, the reason why I think that Emerge is the worst is because you're paying such a huge premium for such a stupid gimmick, and you are going to think that you're going to be much more clever with it than you actually will be. And then you're going to get smoked. You're going to get your shit cleaned out, and you're going to lose what? Almost a quarter of your points?
1/8?
Yeah.
It's 200 points for that MSU. So, okay. Story time. I had a unit of stupid satyrs, Satatoi, do the gimmick, charge it to the flank of House of Knights, kill off. Did they kill the unit or like put the unit down to like 2 stands? I forget. And then next turn immediately got like charged and killed.
Yeah.
Like that's that's them. I don't even remember what I don't even recall what killed them. It might have been Ashendon, it might have been another unit of House of Knights. It could have been another unit of House of Knights, but like they'll catch like one thing and then immediately die. Because you have to know this unit is coming, and either A, you're gonna bait it out and kill it, or B, the most your opponent get is gonna be a 1-to-1 trade and they're gonna die. Or C, your opponent is playing very central and they just see it coming and they get killed before they do anything.
Yeah. And not only
like
that,
your best outcome is to get a trade and then immediately die. Like that's your best option. While there are plenty of other regiments, like the 2 dummy thick boys before this dude, that can just sit on his own and just eat it for a while.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Yeah,
and the other thing that you, like everything you said is valid, and on that basis alone, I think is enough to shit can the unit. But for this privilege of making maybe 1 kill and then dying, that's 2 turns of setup ultimately, because you need to build your stack around having them come in late enough to outfox somebody, and then you have to count on getting them in on the next turn before your opponent can do anything about it, and even then they're tied up, so your opponent can still do something about it. So like, it's not good.
No, they're not. And it just
like, I do think like Drum Beast sucks. The Stoneforge not great, but like Saturoi, I think, are the truly the toilet boys.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not even like sorry to Apex Chinchilla. I think the Drum Beast did really well for the race to the bottom, but I think we finally found truly what is the worst thing in the game.
Yeah, like I would say if we're looking at the bottom 3, just because it got a little bit
they're very close
there. Yeah, they're very close, but I would say number 3. The third worst is Stoneforged, then Drum Beast, then Saturoi.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I agree.
That's the tail of the tape for me.
Yeah. So, well done. What do we had? Steelforge, Stalkers, Hashin. Steel Legion, Stalkers, Sardar, Hashin, Abomination, Stoneforge, Drum Beast, and then finally the Satoroi. There we go. I can say stuff. You know what? I enjoyed our race to the bottom. This was actually really fun. Just trying to figure out what was bad.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, it's for the most part, like, it didn't require a ton of like deliberation, which I think is, and I'm saying that to PB's credit more than anything else, is just because the stuff that's bad is usually glaringly obvious, and the stuff that's good is fine. So
glaringly obvious.
Yeah.
But also, like, everything else in the middle was fine.
Yeah.
Like, you know, here's the thing. Like, in city-states, you have the worst unit, but everything else in your faction, like characters and regiments, are so good.
Yep.
Are just really good right now. And all have play in a variety of different things. Like, Sorcerer Kings, Sardar is the only bad thing because he just doesn't do anything for you, while everything else, like regiment and character-wise, does something for you. Like, same thing with Old Dominion. Hashin are just outclassed. Like, that's a nice thing. Like, it wasn't hard to find, like, the super bad thing. Like, we should probably do this again, like, as another episode, but finding, like, Race to the Top or something, where we try and find the best thing in each faction and then do the same thing.
And then the truly masterclass episode, Race to the Middle.
Oh, God.
The most just fine unit in the entire game.
The men-at-arms of every faction.
Yeah.
I think that'd be harder, but yeah, like, I would do a Race to the Top after.
Yeah, that would. Yeah, I'm certainly up for it. I mean, anything that makes a simple framework for us to pump content out is, I think,
is good.
Yeah. So.
What else? We got Thursday. So today is a Saturday. So on Thursday, January 2nd, we're having Kang. Does he actually have a human name? He does have a human name, but
that's none of our business.
Yeah, anyway, he's going to come on. We're going to talk about tables. So I hope everyone's excited for that. We're going to do terrain setups. And I have that one. So I'm thinking that one's going to be more visual. I'm going to stream it for the three of us.
Whoa.
Because I have like a variety of different pictures for tables, and we're going to force this man to rate all of them.
Yeah.
Well, we got to play the wall, and I'm most excited for the wall.
Oh, the wall. And we don't have to be polite.
No,
anymore, so.
It fucking sucked.
Yeah, the wall was not good.
No, don't do the wall. Should we wrap it up?
Yeah, I think that's, we kept it tight, as they say, this episode, which is good.
And we had a goal. Actually. Yeah, well, we had a goal, and we did it.
Yeah, that's the absolute rarity for the BonkTable podcast, so you're witnessing history here.
You're witnessing us evolve into being actual podcasters and not whatever the fuck else was happening.
Yeah, I didn't even talk for 15 minutes about a cartoon from the 90s that was a co-production between Canada and France that nobody except me has heard of or remembers.
Is that Cyber 6?
That probably is. I could name like 10 cartoons that fit that criteria.
Did you watch Cyber 6 as a kid?
I think that one might be a little too new for me. But my favorite French-Canadian cartoon co-production in a similar vein was a 90s cartoon called The Bot Master.
What the fuck? What is the Bot Master? Please continue.
Well, it was about a teenage boy who builds robots that are kind of have an urban hip-hop feel to them, and he uses them to resist the totalitarian corporate government, which is a pretty modern like plot for a 90s cartoon, which is kind of interesting. But the thing is, it was the early 90s, so they rapped for the opening theme song. But it actually kicks ass because there was two robots that were like the main guys, and one of them was like, and this is like specifically through a 90s hip hop lens, but one guy was like cool black guy coded, and the other guy was like nerdy hip hop white guy coded. These are two robots, again, I want to stress. But the white boy robot has a verse in the opening theme, and he actually nails it. Like, it's so good. It's an iconic theme song. So guess what? I got my wish. I talked about some bullshit.
Okay, send me the intro to that, because I've sent you the intro to Cyber 6.
Yeah, I mean, I'll send it to you, and then next time we record a podcast, like I can rap the whole thing from memory.
Okay, that's the intro.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I could do the whole ass thing. Oh shit, I remember Cyber 6.
Yeah, right? It's so good.
And the reason I remember it is because it looked, well, actually, I need to reevaluate it.
What do you mean you have to reevaluate it?
Well, this is going to be huge for me as a trans woman.
Yeah, I know. This is a show I watched a lot when I was a kid because it was very good.
Because I remember at the time I didn't like it because I think I was not into female protagonists at that point as an overcorrection. But yeah, I feel like this is a big...
This is a big eye opener to you, eh?
Yeah, this is gonna be you're gonna see me with the
hat and the
cape. With that lady soon on Discord, and I'm gonna go through like a 2-week period of really being into her. And
what are you currently? You're like the chipmunk or something.
No, I'm Cleo from the Cadillac Cats, another 80s and 90s cartoon, which was a part of it was a Heathcliff cartoon. And then the Cadillac Cats actually had nothing to do with Heathcliff, but they had the B plot of every episode, where they, I guess, lived in a junkyard, got up to hijinks. But the Cleo is the main character's girlfriend.
Wow, I have.
But she's fucking iconic. Like,
okay, so I put that in. I wrote Cleo from the Cadillac Cats.
And I bet you found some great art.
The second picture is. Yeah, I understand now. I understand why people are all over this poor animated cat lady. Like, the first picture is just the Wikipedia. The second picture is from Twitter, so you know what's happening.
Yes. Yeah, I know exactly what's happening.
Yes, I understand.
So
it's like Lola Bunny all over again.
So here's another one for the listeners, because this I think is a little too old for you even. But there was another French/Canadian 90s cartoon that imprinted on me as an autistic child. It was called Space Goofs.
What?
And it was about a bunch of aliens who lived in an old mansion, got up to hijinks, no good, etc. But the thing that made it cool, and this is for all the other 30-plus-year-olds in our audience, is Iggy Pop wrote a song, like the theme song.
Oh, okay.
It's an original song that he wrote just for it, and it kind of goes hard. Like, it's a pretty fucking good theme song, too. So, you know, that's cool. That's something that you don't expect. I'm a big Iggy Pop fan, so, like... I enjoy that. I hated it when I was a kid. I thought it was so stupid and and not cool. But it turns out I was a really stupid and uncool kid. So kind of had the script flipped on me in that regard as I grew up. And it turns out I just made a lot of bad calls when I was a preteen and a teenager in terms of like what aesthetics and things to find enjoyable.
You're a preteen/teenager. That's your whole personality is making bad calls.
Yeah, but you think you're really cool at that age, and then you look back and you're like, oh, damn, I was just a towering column of smoldering garbage.
Yep.
And everything I liked was stupid, and everything that was cool in my life at the time I rejected for bad reasons.
Also, the things that I thought were cool were bad. Yeah, no. We've all been there. Don't worry. I don't know. I mean, it's just a sign of like growing up and really like thinking about it.
I disagree. I think you have to be perfect immediately on the first try,
No,
and
God.
then spend your entire life reinforcing the good decisions that you've already made intuitively from being alive. I don't actually think that,
No.
for the record.
Yeah, we got to set the record straight.
Yeah.
Because there's times where we make funny jokes and people are like, "You guys are shit." No, please stop. It's we can be funny. We can have fun.
So I can't really get into the specifics of it for reasons, but I recently had an experience with that where I copped to something that I didn't that I don't actually necessarily align with because I thought it would be funny for the bit, and to my defense, it was, but
Okay.
not everybody. I also used to do this thing when I was young and weird on social media. I would find other people's like posts where they said something that I thought was absurd or like comical because it was like so unbelievable or strange. And then what I would do is I would post that without any explanation on my own, whatever.
Oh, and you would mess with your roaring fans.
Kind of. Like it was mostly at that point like I wasn't, so now I'm one of the greats at social media and everything, so it's like it's a little bit different.
Well, should we mention that you have a BonkTable Twitter and then a secret Cassandra Twitter that the BonkTable people have found and are hooked up to?
Well, they have found, like I linked to it. I was pretty
No, wait,
right about that.
sorry. So we both know that I'm not on Twitter because I refuse to suffer.
Mm-hmm. That's
or,
fair. And I
or to save my purity of the internet.
Twitter.
Yeah.
So we're kind of approaching that from different angles, certainly, but I get it. No, yeah, my personal Twitter is hilarious, not wall-to-wall bangers all the time. I'm one of the greats on that platform. Even though Twitter itself sucks, like it's worth having one just to read my tweets. That's really what it comes down to. I'm not bragging or being out of line. Like everything that I'm saying is provably true right now. I don't remember why I started saying this.
You're just going now.
Yeah, I'm just talking about myself. But yeah, so a bunch of people did found it. I mean, I linked to it, so it was pretty obvious. But a bunch of people from the community did follow me. And the thing about my personal Twitter, though, is I treat it like a personal Twitter. And sometimes you're gonna see things that will give you a different understanding of me than you would otherwise have. If you just knew me from talking or from the podcast, so that's a funny thing. But I guess it's because I made a joke that was not representative of who I was, and then had to pay the price of people thinking that it was me, as how we got onto all this. But I don't really remember where I was going with it. So anyway, I'm good at Twitter. That's all I wanted to say. I wanted everybody to know how good I am at that.
You're good at Twitter. That's why you manage your social media accounts.
Yeah, that's why I have our 11 follower Twitter that I sometimes remember to post on for BonkTable, which, I mean, I'm funny there too, but the jokes are really, you gotta be a wargamer, is the trouble.
Have you decided, at one point, I wouldn't be surprised at some random time, you like either A, mix them up or forget about them, and you start posting the wargame jokes on the Cassandra personal, and then the Cassandra personal on the BonkTable? Like, have you done that already?
Not exactly. Sometimes I'm logged into the BonkTable Twitter, and just because the algorithm doesn't really know what to do with me, it gives me a lot of stuff that I would otherwise see on my personal Twitter.
Oh boy.
And that I would like and engage with, and then sometimes I just carelessly do. And then I go back and undo it because, I have a brand to manage. But it's funny to me that every so often there will be like a bunch of, I'll think about a tweet that I saw that I liked and I wanted to show somebody, and I'm like, why can't I find it? And then it's like, because I liked it on the BonkTable account. No, I think there's definitely a non-zero chance they'll post their straps on the BonkTable Discord by accident one day. That's just gonna happen eventually, so I'm not too worried about it because I've kind of made peace with it. But yeah, definitely that's a risk because I'm careless.
It's funny. Just shit happens sometimes.
I mean, you know, everybody benefits at the end of the day, so.
Sometimes people unlock new experiences they didn't know they needed.
Yeah, exactly. I just think of it as broadening horizons.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple like BonkTable After Darks where you and I have discussed a variety of different things where it's like, oh, I understand now. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Now, I hope I never have to think about that again. Yeah, that's legit. So the other thing that I was gonna say is I actually I made a tweet on the BonkTable Discord that I thought was pretty funny, and so I retweeted it on my main. It didn't get any additional engagement. I thought people were gonna be like, "Oh, that's her podcast because it's the same." Because it's Cassandra, but it didn't really drum up any new business in that regard the way that I was kind of hoping that it would, so alas.
I'm not gonna lie. There have been a couple YouTube comments because I do read those. And I respond to those. Where like, it's like somebody was. I'm pretty sure it was a bot. Was like, you should do all these things to increase your like viewer engagement and blah blah blah. And like, one guy responded with, "This dude doesn't even edit anything." And it's like, yeah, it's peak BonkTable.
Yeah, I actually show people that comment when I'm talking about the podcast because I think that's really funny.
It's so funny.
People comment on how like our complete inability to stay on track, which I guess we're just proving right now with this. But you know what? We were so good the whole episode. We can just talk about whatever.
Yeah, they can turn off now and not have to listen to us.
Heard everything, so you don't have to be an asshole about it.
Yeah, you don't have to sit through 40 minutes of like pregame.
I think that's the best part, though. That's what really.
My favorite part is when I get the comment of someone being like, "Skip to 21," and you.
Yeah.
And that's when the podcast really starts.
Yeah, I think that's funny too. I tell people that we have commenters who just listen for when the actual podcast starts, and then tell people to start listening.
It's so good, and I don't feel bad for the people who do it on like Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Because, like, no, you're locked in. You're for a drive here. You're locked in for the next 4 hours.
God damn.
Oh, man. If they ever do a version 3, I think I'm just going to marathon the entire thing. We'll have a new guest every hour.
Oh, wow.
Like, we'll do something crazy. Because that's why we're here. Oh.
Well, I mean, if we're doing our second group retrospective year-end episode, that tells us that we were rounding the bend on 2 years of this shit.
Yeah.
So
you're welcome.
Realistically, we need to get fucking weird with it for season 3 because now we have to start to subvert the format that we've established. So yeah, rotating guests, 5-hour podcast with rotating guests every hour actually is something that the sort of shit that we need to start looking at.
And we have to have them speedrunning Final Fantasy VI while it's happening.
Yeah, or playing like randomizer Zelda or something.
Oh god. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here for it.
Yeah, we could have a lot of fun. I think that's the whole point. Like, dear listener, it's the whole point of the whole podcast. The shit's free. Enjoy yourselves.
Yeah.
Is there a way to skip the ads? Instead of is there a way to pay to skip the ads, is there a way to pay to have them not be off topic? You can only pay us to go more off topic.
No, we should do one live where the people can
like Twitch stream it.
Yeah, like tip us or something, and then I have to go back on topic.
Oh fuck, that'd be so hard because we'd be like having fun.
Yeah, it'd be impossible.
And they'd be like, "Oh, we got a $2 tip." Oh, what the hell was the topic?
I have to talk about Conquest again.
Oh, damn it! Actually, that might be fun.
I think it's a funny premise. I mean, we probably have to figure out the logistics of it to make it work, but I do think that this should be the year of where we just get a little silly with it.
Who cares? It's a silly game. Let's have some fun.
Exactly.
That's why I play these games.
It's got fish gnomes, after all.
I was okay. So I ordered 5 boxes of Raiders. So I picked up Nords. So I picked up majority of Nords, and there's the Black Friday deal where you could buy like a bunch of Raiders for super cheap, and I bought 5 boxes, and it was like, "Do you want a Christmas fish gnome?" And I'm like, "No, I don't want the fish gnome." So I'm trying to lower the amount of Raiders I bought and side stuff I bought to get the free shipping, but also not qualify for the fish gnome. That's what I was doing. Yeah, because you spent $135, you got the free fish gnome. But if you spent more than $90, you got free shipping. So I had to like find a way to balance it to get all what I wanted, but not get the free fish gnome, but also to get the free shipping. And then I was at the I was in Saskatoon, and there was Jeff, and he was like, "Do you want a Christmas fish gnome?" And I'm like, "No." He's like, "Oh, it's like $35. You can add on to your purchase." And I'm like, "Dude, I literally went out of my way not to get the fish gnome. Do you think I'm gonna buy it from you right now?"
He sensed that you almost forgot.
he's in Parabellum's pocket. We have to get this man a fish gnome. I'm like, "No." I already own like 4 to 6 angry chickens. I don't need any more.
Yeah, that's a lot of angry chickens. Don't you want to get your green fish gnome though and go to be a guest at Kios?
No.
Fair.
Well, like, okay, yeah, but also no. I don't know. If I do well enough, like, points-wise in enough Kios, yay. But to be honest, I don't think I'm going to doing it because my schedule doesn't line up with events in Canada.
Yeah.
So that kind of, like, me being able to travel and do my job to pay for all my bills don't line up.
No, I feel that. I mean, the simple reality is, I think even if I were to put the time in and become a world-class Conquest player and qualify to go to Kios, which is not going to happen in any case, in any scenario. But if it were to, I think I would run into the scenario where it's like, oh, I actually can't afford to do this, so
yeah,
easy come, easy go. Because even if they're,
like we've talked about the travel before. Like, there's no big events close by. Like, the next closest big events is 9 hours away minimum, and it only extends to like 13 hours from there. So like, you're making a weekend out of it to try and get points to go to a Worlds thing. Like, it's very tough. So, like, Ben from Competent Conquest lived out on the coast, and he basically didn't have a store to compete at, and there was really nothing close to him locally to play at consistently to get those points to go. So he was out of the race pretty early.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like, if you want to participate at like Worlds, you have to have a place locally that's running a lot of events or something close by. Like, let's say if there was 2 hours away, there was an event like on the weekend, I would for sure 100% go every time. Like, that's kind of what you need to like get enough points to generate enough spots for your region to get a spot at Worlds to go play.
Yeah.
Like that's just what it is. If you can't do that, then you're kind of already out. Like, I think Canada's for sure going to send someone this year. Canada's making the push. We got an event in January and we got an event in February. So those are both, I think one's in Edmonton, one's in Red Deer. And then earlier this year we had one in Calgary, and then we had one in Saskatoon. So anyone who lived in Alberta, if you lived in Calgary, Red Deer's like 2 hours away, and then Edmonton's like 4 hours away. Yeah. So it's pretty reasonable to just like do that drive, attend those 3 events, get the World's slot, so we have a seat at the World's table. And if you did well at those 3 events, and then did Saskatoon, and then did another one, like we'll probably have another one coming up because we got the rest of the summer, you'll have your 5 events and do really well. But it's location, and I have nothing against any of those guys out there. And whoever I wouldn't be surprised if the Canadian who went is from Alberta, and I hope this guy does really well. I have an idea who it is. Seems like a lovely gentleman. We'll have to play a game at some point, to be honest. But having an easier time to attend events is going to make this a lot easier.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, hold on. Let me just go to Discord. Let me just go to Canadian server. Where the fuck is the Canadian server? There it is. Are you on the Canadian server?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was threatening to stab people on the Winnipeg channel.
Go Winnipeg handshake. Okay, Conquest Media, non-media creator. No, where is our events? Canadian events. There we go. We have an event in January. I might have to go message Jeff and be like, "Well, what's your event at?" Because that might actually help me. This one is, what's your date? Come on. Tell me your date. January 11th. I go back to work on the 6th. This is all the shit we gotta do. So it's the first weekend back. Yeah, I'm at work. So I won't be able to attend. Yeah, there we go.
See? Stuff. I'm worried that we're gonna get left behind because two nerd-ass lifers with a lot of disposable income and free time to travel.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. If I win the lottery, that if I win the lottery, I'm 100% do BonkCon. I have dumb ideas for it, but it's not going to be realistic. But it'll be like bracket tournament elimination. So there's one defined winner who has to climb to the top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm into that.
Well, if you lose your first game, you get to go to the bonk room with the dominatrix.
Mm-hmm.
So there's reason to it's losing your game. You no longer get to play Conquest, but you do get to go to an 18+
You
group.
do get to fight for your life.
Yeah, for a whole other reason.
Yeah.
Okay, it's been 2 hours. We should have ended this probably 20 to 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, you think you can bring up the BonkTable dominatrix without me implying that it's going to be me, but you don't get to escape.
Oh, is it really? Is it going to be you? You're going to be the one working the dominatrix booth?
Oh yeah, I mean,
at BonkCon?
This is unprecedented. So here's the thing. There's nothing that
how much black leather do you own?
I'll have enough. I will have a great outfit for this, but I just love to punish male weakness. So if we're determining who is not fit to be a tabletop general, I have a great idea of where to direct that violence. So it seems like a really natural choice.
So instead of a paddle, are you using that hunk of wood they use to push the meeples across the table on a World War II battle map?
Yeah, I gotta be honest. I can't talk about a lot of the stuff, but you haven't heard of it, and you won't feel better once you have. So, that's
the true BonkTable After Dark experience.
Yeah, this is now people are going to be clamoring for this. I feel like, not to toot my own horn. I just think now that we've set up this.
Well, I want to do it in 2026. I think there's a spot at, off the top of my head, looking at conventions. So if I go here, change the year. Fuck this! I hate the calendar. 2026. January convention, March convention, April, May. So I think if I have it somewhere between I think it's gonna be around May, between April, May, and June, somewhere in there. We can have BonkCon. We can have it local. We can invite people over. Flights are cheap. It's an international airport. I think we could
Weed's legal.
Weed's legal. Yep. And then we could have Cass in the dominatrix. You have to play game 1 in the suit, and winner. And then the bonk room only opens once you lose. So if you're doing really well, people might just have to be lined up and waiting.
That's fine. They'll wait.
It just adds more.
I see you say that like this is some sort of bad condition for me, but if you had any idea of some of the when I was looking at going to Adepticon, some of the outfits that I was considering for that, you would have been
What, mortified? Do you have any idea how little of a shit I give about anything?
That's fair.
We don't even edit the podcast.
That's also true. But no, I was definitely gonna be, and this is just a promise. Like this isn't even necessarily anything. Like if you see me at a gaming event, I'm gonna be showing an unreasonable amount of skin, almost certainly. So be prepared or don't. I don't give a shit. I'm doing it no matter what.
Yeah.
But that is the reality is I have no I'm very comfortable with who I am. So,
I fucking hope
and that's everybody's problem.
God has allowed me to live another day. I'm about to be everyone's problem.
Yeah. That's so real.
It'd be really funny if it was just Carl and you at the top table and everyone waiting. Carl's just like, fuck. I either get paddled or I get to live.
I don't, even so, let's say that somehow everything goes right and I get to that final table with Carl. Like, I don't think I'm getting the win there, even in the best possible scenario.
Well, you might psych him out, like psychologically mess with him, just because you're in the full like BDSM gimp suit, ready to go, and he's just like, wow, he might just play poorly because he panics, quotes. Or it might just play poorly because he just wants to go as far as he can go and then still enjoy the room. Like, who knows what he's up to?
That's true.
I don't even know if he listens to this, to be honest.
I don't know if I'm surprised that anyone listens to it. Like, not in a mean way. Like, I think this is great and I love it. I think that there's plenty of reasons if you're a Conquest player to listen to this podcast, but at the same time, like, it is just crazy to me that people are just like, I'm looking for a podcast about this game. Oh, the BonkTable. I'm going to listen to this all the time. Like, I don't know. It's just weird.
In the name.
It's like why would you listen to us? We're just a couple of fucking idiots.
Well, okay. So I think why people listen to us is because of our release schedule.
There were aggressive release schedules.
Yeah, there's always, I feel like it's like ding, a new BonkTable thing, and they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, another classic BonkTable banger.
Yeah. Like, I'm pretty sure there's people who like take deep breaths and just like, oh my god, what am I about to get into? And they're like, oh yeah, that was really great, and then it was like, fuck. And that's the latter half of this episode. What I'm probably not going to edit out. You know what, to be honest, if we had like a Patreon, this whole back end would be like a thing you would pay for, but we don't, so you just get it.
Yeah, that's a good deal, but if there was a paywall behind
this
behind portions of what we were doing, like, yeah, I would honestly get so raw with it on the paid portion, like you just nobody would be ready for it, but it would be damn good podcasting, let me tell you.
There's a bit of me. At some point, we gotta do an April Fool's podcast. I feel like we're just gonna call it like something, and then it's just gonna be talking about shit for like 2 hours.
I think that's a pretty good premise, but now we've ruined it by talking.
Oh, we keep doing it every year, and I keep forgetting about it.
That's fair. It's easy to forget things.
Well, we do this
of long COVID.
Yeah, we also do this bi-weekly, so like if this was a weekly podcast, it'd be easier to do because then I could easily be like, oh yeah, we'll do the funny podcast and we'll get back onto serious shit or quotes. But because it's bi-weekly, it's like, oh, I want them actually to kind of be good and talk about a topic or some shit.
Well, I guess we'll just have to double up one week and then
do a 0.5er, a bonus episode.
Yeah, so that way we can have just one that's all goofs and japes to slide in there when it's expedient to do so.
The torture episode. Here's the thing. I think some people.
That one's definitely behind the paywall because I have a lot to say, but
About what? About torture? Like, Jesus.
yeah. I mean, so also I think we should probably just quickly quantify because we were talking about the BonkTable dungeon and everything. Is there was at one point I think we were talking about or looking at renting a venue that was adjacent. Oh no, it's because at what were they calling it? LV over there.
Yeah.
It's right by a sex shop.
The mattress and sex shop. It was at the same
Mattress
strip
and
mall.
sex shop. Wow, that's incredible. Only in Vegas.
Do we have to have something like okay? So I do know one place.
I'm sure there's a like a Legion Hall that's close to a Love Nest or something like.
Hold on, I'm thinking. Okay. I don't know how far we want to take this because there's some shit I could say.
Well, I'm not gonna be the person who tells you not to do anything.
Yeah, but I don't know if I want to break any of my rules or anything.
That's fair. But anyway, I do think it's important for listeners to understand that that's the reason why we weren't just like, oh, we should set up a sex dungeon for it. I mean, it's there's more context that I think it's important to have.
No, it's the paddle room.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a paddlet.
This is really too old and too Winnipeg for anyone who listens to this, but there used to be a restaurant called the Paddle Wheel, and I feel like there's a joke there that old millennials from Winnipeg really want to reach for, but I don't think that enough of them are listening to this for me to really like. But prove me wrong in the BonkTable Discord and tell me about how you remember the Paddle Wheel restaurant, and we'll make a funny BDSM joke about that.
All right, so there we plugged the Discord.
We talked about a hell of a lot in the last 15 minutes, I'll tell you that much.
We were good. I swear to God, we were good, and we were good.
We weren't.
Well, we got through the topic. We saved it all for the end. For everybody who wants to keep going, there is nothing productive has been done since.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for listening. Thank you for getting through the topic and listening to the back end of this.
If you made it this far, you're a gold star BonkTable hero.
You're a tier 1 Patreon in our non-existent Patreon.
Yeah, tier 1 in my heart.
Can't say that, Matt. Fuck. I was gonna say tier 1 in my balls, but
hey, some people pay good money for that.
Oh my God, get away from my balls. Okay, so thank you for listening and not being like, oh, what the fuck is happening? Hopefully you don't listen to this with your children. And
that would be weird in the first place, though. Like if I was somebody's kid and I had to listen to a wargaming podcast, I would. I don't think I'm allowed to say I would kill myself, but I would kill myself.
This is going on YouTube later, and I don't even get monetization, but I already know this is going to be demonetized. Is that how we do it now? We just try and break some YouTube rules so they can't monetize any of this?
I mean, I think that's very funny, but I almost feel like I'm corrupting you at that point if that's the idea that you had.
I just like to fuck with things.
That's fair. I mean, I'm all for it.
I know, that's why.
Like I said, this is a year getting crazy for BonkTable. Mark my words.
Poor everyone else. If you'd like to talk to us more directly, you can join the BonkTable Discord. If you like to, go ahead, Cassandra.
If you join the Discord, I'm bored all the time. I'll talk to you about pretty much anything if you post it there. Yeah. Don't DM me. I wouldn't like that. But talk to me in the chat room.
Make it public so that everyone can hop in on the insanity. Yeah. Then what do we got? I'm totally like just pulling a blank. YouTube. So if you want to see some battle reports about some stuff or more BonkTable stuff, join up on the YouTube. Follow Cassandra's Wargame Twitter and then find her secret personal Twitter to really dig deep into the mind of Cassandra.
Cassandra lore. The one that I want people to find is Cassandra from BonkTable.
Is that actually a thing? Can I Google that?
Wait, or is it Cass from? No, it's BonkTable Cass. That's what it is. It's BonkTable Cass.
Oh shit! What the?
Oh wow! What did you just find?
Wants me to log in. I don't want to log. I don't know. Why does it not let you in? Okay, so like
because the new ownership wants you to.
Because there's like a wrestling lady.
Yeah, that was one of my posts. That was a joke.
If you were watching me go 0-4 a turn, I didn't practice for. Damn, nice.
Good ass posting.
Yeah, no, that is good. I finally got to the picture. Wow, there is like, I just went to images. There's some good ones on here. Also, weirdly, gummy worms. Not exactly sure why, and candy. I don't know why that's on here, but cool. Good job, BonkTable.
I don't know either, is the thing. And I refuse to look or explain. One thing that's funny about that Twitter is so it because it of the email that I used to register it, it's just a letter instead of a user icon, but every time I try to change it, it just doesn't. It just doesn't take. I've updated the photo like 50 times and it just
it's just still the letter. Yeah.
It just defaults back to the letter.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Maybe update the photo in the Gmail.
I think I have to update the photo on PC is what it comes down to. Yeah, I'm gonna do it on my phone, but it should just work on my phone. The website is just bad. Twitter is just.
So are you on? What's the other one? Blue Sky? Is that the new one?
Yeah, I should make a Blue Sky. Blue Sky sucks. Like
Twitter.
Well, hold on.
Okay, now we're going to the Race to the Bottom social media edition.
Yeah, Twitter has charm.
Hold on. Let me get prepared for this. You may continue now.
Twitter has charm. The charm of a rotting punk house. But it's like there's something, and it's different for me specifically because of like the person that I am, the woman that I am, in fact, because there's a lot of people like me are on there as well, and there's a certain amount of poetic justice to making your home online in the place owned by the guy who hates the kind of person that you are. And that's a whole different topic of discussion that I mean, people want to argue with me about that sort of thing on this fucking channel, I will, but I don't want to. So that's kind of the deal there. But that's neither here nor there. Like, without getting into the specifics of it, like, I think that's really funny. And that's what gives it, like, there's a certain feel to be holding on to a place that's just turning into slime and garbage and liquid garbage juice all around you. And that feeling is hard to replicate, where it's not actually happening. But on top of that, like, Blue Sky has this Ned Flanders feeling to it.
Okay.
That makes it really hard to enjoy the same way that made Twitter fun. Like, they don't. And I bring this up every time, and they do kind of do this, so it's not even necessarily like accurate, but it is emblematic of sort of the attitude that they have, which is like, on Twitter, there's something called a QRT dunk, which is like where you, instead of just retweeting somebody's post, you quote retweet it so that you can add additional text or an image or whatever, and essentially you dunk on that person when it's a QRT dunk. Like you repost something that they said and you add to it to bust on that person or make fun of them because something they said was stupid or whatever. And sure, that's nasty and not necessarily the best use of your time, but A, it's hilarious, B, it feels good. And I think it's part of, like, that act is sort of definitive and emblematic in terms of, like, what gives Twitter its sort of spirit and animus. And when you go to a place where you're like, well, we're too good for that sort of thing, like, it has a nerd ass Ned Flanders, like, just this like sanitized sort of feel to it in every way. Like, everybody is nice, but it's not genuine. It's like in a, well, this is a place where we're nice way, you know? It's just it's that disingenuous niceness that I really hate.
Just fake nice.
Yeah, exactly. It's like church nice, you know?
Oh.
Ooh.
Ooh, brother,
which,
ooh.
which maybe, I don't know. I think that's a totally fine thing to say in any scenario, because I don't have any specific critique of church or religion that's going to make this podcast, but I think people are church nice even outside of church, and it sucks in any scenario, and I think you can call it what it is without it being a whole thing. But yeah, so that's kind of the deal there. Like, I'll probably make a in Blue Sky for BonkTable eventually, but it's just not as fun. Like, even when I'm doing the BonkTable stuff, like at least I can have some fun with it. And I just feel like everybody's gonna be like, "Ooh, Cassandra, you can't do that on Blue Sky with everything that I do." And also, like, I've posted bangers on Twitter that just flop on Blue Sky, which tells me that it's a stupid piece of shit, because obviously everything I do is incredible, and worthy of praise and adulation. And so if an entire platform doesn't see that, fuck them.
Yeah, that's fair.
Anyway,
I feel like there needs to be a new Twitter of blackjack and hookers.
Exactly. I actually agree, but not Blue Sky. It needs to be
It needs to be more Homer Simpson, less Ned Flanders.
Yeah, for real, and not Frank Grimes either to complete the triad. But nonetheless, I've taken up enough of your time complaining about social media platforms that I use or don't use.
Well, we are still recording, so I'm glad the listener gets to listen to all of this.
Me too, honestly. Like, I think it's very funny that we were like, "Oh, we kept this really tight," and then just proceeded to talk for like another half hour about just like stuff that has nothing to do with the topic of this.
I think people don't understand something. We're friends and we like to talk to one another.
That's true.
It's really funny every time.
Not like those other podcasts where the contempt between the content creators is obvious.
I have been on live video feed with the Joshes from Josh Yard and Aya, and you can see their seething hatred for one another as they look beady-eyed at one another, going as we're talking about this. No, I'm fucking joking. They're great. I love the Joshes. They're actually really fun. The Just for One guys also really fun. Who else have I been with?
All the guys are good except for the ones that we don't like.
Well, yeah, that's fair.
Which
well, I'm like, I like all the current podcasters and content creators for Conquest. They're doing good work.
Except the bad ones.
Yeah, but they usually
fall off. On notice.
Well, the bad ones fell off pretty quickly.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's very true. Not to.
I'm gonna go play video games. How about you?
Yeah, I'm probably gonna do that. I think it's time to hit the Balatro real hard.
Oh boy, I've been getting into Lucid. What's like a 2003 casual FromSoft. Like it's like Kingsfield. It's like a modern Kingsfield. I've been having fun with that. Yeah. So if you like Kingsfield, go grab Lucid. It's like $15 on Steam.
Hell yeah! And it's by FromSoft?
No, it's
oh, okay.
But it's like Kingsfield, what was made by FromSoft.
I see what you're saying. Okay,
yes.
I get it. Yeah, I'd fuck with that.
Well, who made this game? I'm like opening it up now. Does it tell me that?
Balatro? Holy, I'm crazy for that game right now.
No, because I don't want my life to be sucked away.
Yeah, I bought it when I was sick because I was like I was delirious and I was like I need something to do.
I was delirious. And that's it's from Kira LLC, and it's from Kira LLC. They have made some other games. It's a dark fantasy. What else they made? The Dollhouse, Lost in Vivo. They kind of focus on like horror stuff.
Hell yeah! I mean, that's what you want.
Oh, they did all Spooky House of Jump Scares as well. Yeah. Because that game is really wild.
It's Spooky House of Jump Scares.
Yeah. Yeah, they do a lot of horror stuff.
They called it that.
Yeah, that's what... Yeah, the game is called Spooky House of Jump Scares, and it's actually spooky. I clicked on Lost in Vivo, and it immediately hit me with, like, the horror music and some weird leech thing in the video just immediately. And so I had to pause that because that was getting terrifying. It's a horror game about claustrophobia. Great.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever seen the movie The Descent.
Yes.
But like
Yes,
that movie was frustrating because for the first like hour or so, it's about exploring a cave, which is genuinely terrifying. Like absolutely just the scariest thing in the world to me. I don't.
Oh, but then you gotta do it
wanna ever be
underwater.
in a cave. Yeah, that's even worse. But then the monsters show up, and now all the passages have to be wide enough for women to be chased down, and it just like it removed all of the scariness from the movie because it turns out like I would rather a monster just eviscerates me than I get stuck in a hole
And then eviscerated. Yeah.
You know, there's a caving accident. I'm not gonna mention it because I don't think that people should subject themselves to the horror of knowing about it. But I think about it every few months, and then I just feel physically sick for like a week because just like it's just terrible. It was just it's the most fucked up, I think, fate I could imagine happening to a human by way of natural causes.
Oh, there's so many.
Yeah,
There's so many fucked up shit. Oh,
the one.
God.
Yeah, you know what I'll say? It's called the Nutty Putty Cave accident or whatever.
Oh my God! Is it actually called that?
Yeah, it is, and that really does not adequately like. Don't look it up. It's really I hate it so much, but I'm just it because I don't want to be like, ooh, this scary thing, and then not say what it is. But like, I don't think you need to know the specifics. But somebody died in a really terrible way because they got stuck in a cave passage, and there was just no way to extract them without killing them, so they just sealed the cave and left.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. He just had to wait out the clock. I mean, I don't think he was awake for most of it, but goddamn, holy shit, that's terrible. And then you see the way that he was stuck in there, and it was like I guess the way that he fell and got jammed up. Like the only way to pull him out would have busted his neck, so he would have been dead either way. But goddamn. Anyway, we went too far over the end of this podcast, and now it's getting into this sort of thing. Caves are scary. That's all it comes down to.
Yeah. All right.
So, all right. Well, have a great night, everybody.
Yeah. enjoy your Christmas horror.
Yep.
Bye.